watching channel, and it was Joyce Meyer, and she said, whatever God graces you to do, you should be able to do it peacefully and easily.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. If it's difficult, you're not quite on the right track.
That is correct.
Yeah. So this is easy for you, easy for me. We've got.
Oh, no one said this was easy.
Well, no, easy,
there's a lot of stuff going into it, but it is flowing.
What I mean by easy. No, you're misunderstanding what I mean by easy. A better word would have been simple, right? The formula is simple.
Yes.
We promote the books. We want to sell the books as a movie. Oh, let's talk about Ron. I need to, because the last time you talked, you said you didn't want to talk about Ron, but I wanted to ask you, what's your game plan for Ron before we go any further? I need to know.
I want to make sure that here's the, and I'm glad you asked, because I am now ready to talk about Ron, because I couldn't talk to you when you talked to me about it before, because I didn't have an answer then.
Oh, that's fair enough, yeah.
Okay, I have an answer now.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a percentage. That's how Ron lives. Ron put us together.
Okay, that's fine. What's his role?
He doesn't have to have a role. He's already done his role. Just like when you went to go do that shoot the other day, you told me he set that up with the thing prior to.
Yes,
he did his job. Yes. He did that job a while back, yet you got benefits 6 months later.
Quite.
You see what I'm saying? And not only did you get benefits, but you got much more benefits than the first time around.
The first time around, yeah. Got a 4-page spread.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
I'll be able to get the centerfold next time.
Exactly. That'll be perfect. I love it.
No, but you're absolutely right. So what percentage are you looking at?
I haven't figured that out. We need to sit down and talk about that.
Well, we are sitting. You're sitting and I'm sitting. Where's your thinking on that?
I was thinking somewhere like around 5 to 10% of whatever.
Me too. Yeah, me too. Okay, good. Exactly what I was thinking.
And I'm not sure how we break that down, if it's for everything or if it's specifics.
That's what I was going to. Okay, so what should it be broken down now? So this is how I met Ron. Ron was supposed to promote the Starside Prophecy.
Right.
So let's give him 10% of any sales of the Starside Prophecy. Plus, would he want a task in that he can try and sell this as a movie? Because we'll give him a blind 10% for everything he's done so far. And I get that. And I think it's a beautiful idea. Really do, Frank. But is there something he'd want to be involved in? Or am I sort of scum of the earth?
No. Yes, it would. The reason I haven't talked to Ron yet is I want to bring him a full-on project.
Yeah, I get that. That's
okay, because this way he will want to be involved in it.
Yes.
Okay, I don't want to bring a half-baked idea and then go from there.
No, I hear you. You want to be thorough.
Yeah, and when I show him, I say, Ron, this is the reason I did it this way. I know what happened with you before. I don't want that to happen again. And it didn't happen with me and him. It happened with something and somebody else. And that's why when that first time you called him, he was so upset that we had talked, was because what had happened was that he had introduced some people before, and they basically, in essence, yes. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to do that.
I don't either. And that's why when you asked me before, like I said, I hadn't had a complete full-out idea how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. I had an idea of wanting to give him a percentage. I just didn't know how or where or which way we wanted to go with it, because from that very first talk that you and I had when I handed you my card and we only talked for 10 seconds, we're now building a radio station.
I know, it's nuts.
So
it's completely fucking nuts how far we've come.
Right, and that's all because of Ron. If he had not introduced us, we would not be here.
Exactly.
So I see that as hugely.
I always knew that Ron and I had met for a reason.
Yes.
And when I ended that relationship, that was necessary at that time for me for many reasons. But I always knew that we'd met for a reason. And I never had, he puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, he does.
And I don't think that he should be handed certain jobs, but I do think 10% of the Starside Prophecy, and then he can sell that whatever he wants to do, and then he could get a bigger stake in that if he wants. If he got us a film deal from Netflix, then Ron can have 25%.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
Because
you'll
all of a
have
sudden
the
that's a
other.
whole nother avenue that he's working
Dimension.
on.
Yes, exactly.
Plus, we'll
And it could
already have the stuff going with the radio stuff
well, we'll
because of
already be
that.
promoting it now.
Right.
You'll love that.
Right.
Yeah.
See, that's what I meant about having it all kind of sort of built, giving him something that he has
Well, it's
tangible
like I said
to make it.
and I said that, and then you mentioned it the other day. You talk a big game. What you got? You know what I mean? You've got
Right.
you guys can't just be an idea floating around, can it? It's got to be tangible. There's got to be this, and this.
Right. And I didn't want to just talk a big game. I wanted to hand him the
Yes.
big game.
Yes, this is what. Yes, exactly. That's great.
So yeah,
Well,
I have, and I'm glad we got that out of the way. Now I don't have to worry about talking about that anymore because we're on the same page on that one too.
Oh yeah, I love it. No, you're exactly right. If it wasn't for Ron, he's in our lives for a reason.
Yes.
And I also think spiritually, because Ron has been double crossed before, the fact that we're not going to double cross him will give him an easement of human nature, and he'll like go, because this could all be done behind his back, right? We could do whatever we want.
We have been.
Huh?
We have been.
Well, we haven't, because that's only to introduce Ron to it when all our ducks are in a row.
Right.
But we could have said, I could never see, I don't have to ever see Ron again.
Right.
Right? I don't have to.
Right.
And I have all my products, my websites, I have everything.
Right.
But I don't want that. But part of the reason I don't want that, I want Ron to see humanity. I think he's been let down a lot.
I agree. And that's kind of why I've been... It's been extremely hard on me because I've been in contact with Ron considerably. You know,
I really love. It tells me a lot about you, your decision to do this, because that's a hard one to do. Because you've now got to walk the line, and you're doing this. Ron would probably be upset, but he's not going to be when it's explained to him. Right? He's going to understand.
Yes.
And we'll bring him back in, and he'll calm down and get over it very
quickly. Oh,
he
won't. He won't be upset at all once we.
Not at all.
Yeah, because he'll see that we weren't trying to screw him.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to start off by saying, listen, Ron, you brought us together. There was a reason you brought us together, and now we're bringing you back into the reason why you brought us together.
Because you're supposed to be part of the fold.
Exactly.
We needed a break for this. Yeah, exactly.
But you and I needed to figure out why we were brought together. Okay, and we've done that now. But when you and I first met, all you were to me was a person that had written a book that talked a lot about things that I already knew about, in that aspect.
We're interested in.
Yeah, interested. But like I said, I already knew most of the stuff, the things that you're talking about. Like I said, I'd done the Celestine Prophecies 30 years ago. So I've been a part of this field in a really weird way for, almost 40 years at a point. But had I known James Redfield as an author at the time that he wrote the book, I would have tried to figure out a way to have done this with him at that point, but it didn't. The technology didn't exist then, so I couldn't have even conceived of doing something like this then.
No. Timing is everything.
Yes.
Timing is everything. And I wrote that in the mirror world.
Yes.
If you're not seeing what you want to see, just understand that there's a divine timing involved.
Exactly.
End of story.
Exactly.
And that's having faith, and that's having patience combined, and knowing there's a bigger picture, which is faith.
Yes, that's true. And the fact that, like I said, I mean,
and Ron has got a great skill set. So not everything that Ron did. I mean, there were a few things, but that's not. But well, we're all just human, right? So that's fair enough. But Ron was like a bulldog, and he followed through.
Yes.
And he was persistent.
Yes.
And Ron on the phone is very, very charming. He charmed me. I thought he was lovely. When I first talked to him, and he does understand people, and he's an affable, amiable guy. Now he's wanting a stake in something. He's wanting to earn some money, but so what? So are you, and so am I.
Right.
I don't hold that against him.
Well, no, but hold on a second. It's not only that. This is actually how he makes his living. Okay, it is by
taking a percentage of talent.
Yeah, because remember, he used to put people in movies. He did training, for acting training, stuff of that nature. So that's kind of sort of his thing. He would put people together and then get a percentage of what of that.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember that he started off at 6 years old doing the stupid Post Toasties commercial, and he never went to school. He never had formal school training.
No.
So
he became a clown, but he took all his money when he was 13, which was a lot. lot. And he just took himself to California. And his dad said to him, "You'll never amount to anything."
Right.
And he's been living with that ever since. That's why he's so industrious.
Yes.
That's why he's so persistent.
Yes.
And he's going to be able to go, "Yeah, what, Dad? Listen, I've got a lot going on for me right now, because this is going to blow up."
Oh, yeah.
And Ron's part of it. So you are dealing with a guy with an arrested development.
Yes.
We talked about Michael Jackson having that. And that's not, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but he's had a very singular life.
Yes, very.
I mean, you're not a child star and you go off to California to make your dreams at age 13.
Right.
I mean, it's not like doing it at age 18. I mean, 13. It's like, whoa, Ron.
But you're right. He is he is amicable. He is personable, and what he does bring, the problems that he had, that you had, or that happened with what happened with the incidents that you're talking about, were that he put too much self on himself and didn't have enough help to help him do the other things that he needed to do.
That's not true, because he had you and he had Adrian. There were 3 of you, right?
Yeah, yes, I understand. But what I'm saying is that...
Hang on, let me tell you where the flaw was. So Ron was so into making sure that everyone read their lines correctly, and you had to read your lines.
Yes.
You couldn't deviate. I had to rehearse it with him. Noah had to rehearse it. Noah's dad, and then and so he was so concentrated on being a producer that when it came to him, he just thought, I can ad lib here, and he couldn't, because he was too tired, and he had a blood sugar rush low that morning because we'd been up with Timothy Shanahan late at night eating macaroni and cheese. So there was that, but that was fine. But what the thing for me was, when I met you, it's very difficult to be in this life, to have my mind, and there's other people that I can't relate to because they would just think I'm crazy, and they wouldn't even understand the complexities and nuances. So
which we understand each other.
And I didn't like it when Ron intervened on that. That to me was I cannot have this man telling me who I can be friends with. And that was the catalyst for me, because I think everything else I could have got past. I'd have reworked it, but it was also good now because we have a clean slate. Right. So when we come back in, we each know what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are. They don't even have to be mentioned. Right. But we just know
the past is the past. I don't care anything about it except for one thing. And that is that he put us together. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that matters in the past for me.
Yeah.
And without him, we wouldn't be here talking.
Would be happening.
So, and not only that, I mean, but and I hate. No, I don't hate. I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that word.
Dislike.
No, I don't even want to say that, because it's not that I dislike it either. It's I keep bringing up my friend Greg. Mm-hmm. You're kind of like his replacement in a way for me.
Oh, that's sweet.
And kind of Ron brought that to the package too, because when I said you brought life back into me again, that's what I meant by that. Is that Greg and I had planned on doing him and I actually were literally talking about, because Greg, before he passed, we could have done a podcast, okay, because the technology existed. I had the equipment. I had pretty much, well, I didn't have the Roadcaster, but I had mixing boards. I had my own mixers and stuff of that nature, the microphones, all of that. So we could have done it, and we would have been talking similar about things that you and I are talking about. The thing that really hit me the hardest about you being like Greg was what you told me that night, that you ended up going out and having fun with the white stuff. I said, oh my God, I have Greg in my hand right there. I cannot believe that.
That legitimized the whole thing, didn't it?
It certainly did. I mean, because it was just so reminiscent of what he would have said, the way you said it and everything. It was like, oh my God, And not only that, but I know he's over my shoulder right now, listening to what we're saying.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, all I can see in my mind is a blue feather right now.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. That's Greg. He's put that blue feather in your mind. That's why you're seeing it, That look, like I said, remember I brought those feathers when we did the thing. Both of those came from someplace else.
Say that again.
Okay, let me explain about the blue feathers. There's three incidences. Actually, there's more than three, but I'll bring up the three.
Okay.
First of all, my boss that I work with directly, Gustavo, I work with his mother also, and his sister I don't work with, but all three of these people have incidents with the blue feather. Two of them were the feathers that I brought from his sister and his mother to our show. One night, my boss, his name is Gustavo, his wife had gone out, and he's got two little boys, 5 and 4, or 6 and 5, somewhere in that range. She had gone out and bought a couple of bags of feathers, and they were making yellow and green place things or whatever. I don't remember exactly what it was that they were doing, but it was for some kind of thing. And she had gotten a bag of yellow feathers and a bag of green feathers. And Gus had grabbed one of the green feathers and put it on top of the refrigerator because he wanted to bring it in for me, because he knows about the book. He actually has the Illusions book. He hasn't read it yet, but he's got the book. It keeps popping up, and every now and then he'll find it, and it's like, I got to sit down and read it. I says, next time you see it, you sit down and read it. But at any rate, when he got up the next morning, the green feather was gone. He couldn't find it anywhere. It was on top of the refrigerator the night before. So he went out to where they were working with the crafts and stuff. And in the bag was one blue feather. Now, the kids, had they seen that blue feather, they would have pulled it out the day before because it was the only thing that was blue. It was different than everything else. It would not have still been there.
Right.
He brought me in the blue feather. I still have the blue feather sitting on my shelf right next to where Illusions would be, actually sitting next to one, which is his Richard Bach's next book. Now, his sister and her husband, after 20 years, were getting divorced. Gustavo is a general contractor and a real estate person. So not only is he fixing up their house that is not their house because his parents are realtors, gave them that house to live in. But when they got divorced, it was her house, not his house. So with that being said, his sister's name is Claudia. She had me come upstairs, and in her daughter's room, she says, there's something up there. I can't figure out what the heck it is. And it was really high on a shelf, and I literally had to reach with my arm all the way up and around, and it turned out to be the blue feather. It was the dream catcher. And when I pulled it out, I literally damn near dropped to my knees. And she looked at me. She said, "What's wrong?" I said, "You have no idea what this is." And then I gave her the book Illusions, and then she understands. And she's actually one of the people she's the one that I had you give me the extra book for.
Right.
So she's up to date with us. Now, her daughter, I'm going to be interviewing tomorrow night or Thursday night about her trip that she went with Grandma, which is my mom, Gustavo's mom, who went to Ecuador. And when she was... I'm sorry?
La Madrina in Spanish is like a godmother, and that's a spiritual mother, I would say, rather than the god. La Madrina.
I got you. Okay, yeah. But actually it's her grandmother.
Right.
Not godmother, grandmother.
The great grand.
Yeah.
Great Madrina.
Yeah, not even great, just grandmother. But she's actually a great woman. I mean, I don't know if I told you this or not, but I figured I'm working with 3 women. You, her, and the other one.
You've got all this estrogen around you.
And there's nothing wrong with it, I mean, it pumps in it pumps in a whole new energy.
Of course it does. Well, men and women are a different species.
Yes, I know. We're completely different.
You've somewhat integrated because you've got a feminine side and I've got a masculine side. That can come out in my writing. You can see the testosterone.
Yes.
Not literally, but you can see.
You can feel it in there, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So we're the new breed. We're the tomorrow people.
Yeah, and plus the fact that I've got 7 sisters and only me is the male. I mean, it's lucky that I came out male.
You know what was funny? When I lived in Dorking, which was in my book with Victor, the guy that Harrods and all the rest of it was actually the Stable Park. We'd had this park and it was right in the middle of Dorking, and you'd go to the Seven Sisters and there were 7 massive great oak trees, and that's where you'd head, and that was on the side of a lake, the Seven Sisters.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have. The Seven Sisters.
Yeah. Well, we have 3 sisters here.
Yeah.
I think they're it's a mountain range in Oregon.
We'll have to take a trip out to Oregon.
I'm pretty sure. I'll have to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure there's 3 mountains that are called the Three Sisters.
Let me ask you this: Are you a fan of Bill Maher?
Yes, I used to watch him all the time. I haven't in a long time, but yes.
Well, he's not taping anything at the moment, poor guy. He's doing a great one at night though. If you go online, and it's called Random, something Club Random. So he's getting stoned and drunk, talking to really high profile.
I love it.
He's got Richard Dawkins. He's got the English guy, Russell Brand. He's got Jordan.
Oh, good God! Him and Russell Brand. That in itself has got to be. That has got to be really bizarre, especially with him being drunk and stoned. Watching.
So Russell Brand's interesting because he used to be a heroin addict. So what he's learned to do is basically, which is what you should do if you've done drugs, learn to access a space that drugs allowed you to. You've already been there in your mind. You already know what this looks like. And so he's able to be his kind of old self on drugs without the drugs because he's learned to regulate his thoughts. So when Bill Maher's, he doesn't drink or do anything. He's as sober as a judge. But when Bill Maher's getting loaded, he's very comfortable in that space because he was already there.
Right.
So he's a good one. So Richard Dawkins was a little more, a bit more difficult because Bill tends to get the giggles if he's stoned. He's got his big old bong. And he's in California. He doesn't give a shit. No one's taping his show because there's a strike.
Right.
So he's like, fuck it, I'll just do this in my house. And I think he's getting up there on the numbers. I can't remember. He's lower than a lot of podcasts, but he's building numbers very quickly.
Oh, and I'll bet it'll fast. Yeah.
Day.
I'll bet once it catches on, it'll catch on like wildfire. He's one of the few comedians I actually took Sandy because, like I said, we used to watch his show at whatever, and he was in concert, and we went and saw him. It's the only time.
Well, he had a residency in Vegas for a while at the Mirage Hotel. But anyway, so listen, he did this show years ago now called not Ridiculous, Ridiculous. He put ridiculous with religion, and he went around the country and he's basically interviewing fundamentalist Christians. So he finds himself in a pub or he's in some church and he's just going on the road talking to random people. Now they're going to, I guess they would have had to sign some sort of waiver that you're going to be on TV because he's producing his own show. There are maybe 2 or 3 camera angles. The sound was good. And I thought, what a great concept to take it on the road to get your material.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
It is.
I mean, but we don't have to leave. We can just do that in South Florida. We haven't got to go all around the country like he did.
No. And we'll have an 800 number to be able to call into. So
yeah, I know, right? Yeah. No, the whole thing is taking on a life of his own. I knew this would happen. It's so nice when you're right. My ego's having a a preening moment.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Are going, woohoo.
Mine too. Mine started going yoo-hoo when I got this cord the other day. So that meant that we could actually start moving forward with the things that we needed to start doing.
Are we still being recorded?
1 hour and 57 minutes and 45 seconds.
Wow, that's great. So we can go. This is great.
Yes, and a lot of this can be all cut down and put into the show.
Yeah, or just played in its entirety.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it's have to be edited. I mean, no, hang on. My mind cannot start going into the editing process.
Yeah, not right at the moment.
Sarah. Back up, baby. Play an ABBA song.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be back right after this song. We're taking a technical break. It's called a bathroom break.
And then we'll just go out laughing.
Yeah.
cups.
Which is why I kind of, even though you didn't like that one video, when I did that elephant thing, the look on your face and the way you dropped the mic and it just hit your head on the table was just
Well, you can take that
precious.
out as an outtake. I mean, have that as an outtake. It was the entirety of it, but that would be a fine outtake.
Yeah, no, it just every time I see that, I just laugh my ass off. And I'm the one that did it, know it, you know. I can't help but laugh at it. It's so funny.
So we'll make those the promos, right? This can be the trailer.
It's a good possibility.
It's all useful to some degree. I didn't like it as a show, but
yes.
that doesn't mean it can't be chopped up.
So. Oh, well, actually, we can just use all the audio. It doesn't have to be the video portion where they're seeing.
Funny. Yeah, okay, that's good.
It can be used in part of the radio show.
Yeah.
You know.
Gosh, how exciting.
It is.
In my life, I've always had this affinity to music. My mum played Radio 1, and I listened to songs. I would rather listen to songs for 2 hours than watch a movie for 2 hours.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. I mean, I do love movies too, don't get me wrong, but music to me, and I love just listening to a playlist. So I do it on the 70s or the 60s or the 90s, whatever I'm doing. But the fact that I can now talk about music, have this radio station where we can talk about all the ideas, and I've got this gadget at home. I can just do an MP3. I could send you one now, right? And it's all going to go into an archive,
right?
And it doesn't. And one of the things,
and that's how it works too.
But this is interesting. So I listened to Joel Osteen on XM Radio, and I love, because he talks about what we're talking about, programming your mind to receive God's favor. Now, there's flaws in that argument, which I could break down, but I don't want to get too intellectual on it. But basically, he's preaching the same thing. Now, he's hang on a second, Frank, hang on. Pomp. No, give me that. Give me that. Come on. Where was I?
See, now that's the part we would have to cut out.
Yeah.
That's where the editing comes in. We can't leave all that part in.
Me walking out the room, getting a bone out of his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, so you'd have to kind of come back and explain that's what you just did.
That's what I'm going to try and do now. So Joel Osteen, what was
You were talking about how he talks about what we're talking about.
Yeah, but there was something prior to that. I was bringing his name in for a reference.
We'll stop thinking about it. We'll talk about somebody else.
Hang on. It's about the radio. Okay, it's completely skipped my mind, but I'll text it to you or call you. But it was something significant I'd heard on his radio show, and it was about do's and don'ts, what we don't and do on ours, right? And I can't remember the story, but the story is significant for me to explain this.
That's fine.
But the other point, which is very, very important, he always time-stamped his stuff. So he was talking about last week about, it was a great biblical thing with Jonah and the whale and all the rest of it. And he said, 2014 is going to be a great year. And then I was just deflated, because you don't need to say that. So everything we have to do can't have a timestamp. We cannot mention times or dates.
No.
Because so
we don't know. We don't know when anything's going to happen. We can't predict. All we can do is promote.
Yes, and don't limit yourself on a timestamp.
Right.
So when I wrote "Is This the Best God Could Do," I'd referred to current events. I could have said what I needed to say without doing that, because it limits what you're doing. You don't want this timestamp. This could be played in 50 years from now.
Exactly.
And it's got to be more relevant now than it's ever been. So, yeah, not putting a timestamp. But I'm going to try and remember this story. I'll have to, because that's a very important part of something that we shouldn't do. But I can't remember it now. But that's
all right. Like I said, you don't think about it. It'll come to you. And then, I mean, that's how I do it. I just stop thinking about it, and I just move on. And then all of a sudden, it's back in my mind again.
The subconscious will propel it into your consciousness.
Yes, it's like a percolator, like the old style percolator, not the drip style.
Noisy one.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's got to come up from the bottom, and it's got to work its way up to the top, and then goes plop, and then the water comes down and drips in and filters through.
Oh my goodness, that's yes. There you go. There's the technical side of what that means. That's funny.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of how it works with the subconscious. I mean it's out, it's
So,
down there
so that's
percolating.
so what's, how would you define the subconscious if you have 20 words? Because everyone's going to have something different to say about it.
I never thought about it like that.
Well,
It's my it's my I don't know if I can do it in 20 words, probably less. It's the
isn't it funny
it's your
that,
base, it's your base of information
ah,
that is always there, but
mm,
but it's always in the background. You don't know that it's
mm,
there until it
you
is
ask,
needed, or yeah, or
until
you
you
ask. Yes.
ask and thou shall receive. So I agree with you. I would say that the subconscious is a repository for all the information that you've actually accumulated in all your lives, and it's there and it's under the surface, and you cannot access it unless you ask a specific question, and then it will upload it into your mind. It's a code, it's written
Yes.
into the code.
Everything is code.
Yeah, everything is code. And ask and thou shall receive. My God. So I said that in the mirror world. I should have. I'm going to go back and make sure I really emphasize that. Ask and thou shall receive. That is how you get your
But
higher
you need
knowledge.
to
That's
you
your
need to
higher
make
self.
sure that they do it properly, because asking that yeah you shall receive does not mean that I asked to win the lottery and I'm going to win the lottery.
No, it's not the same as manifestation. So it's a repository for information. It
Right.
has nothing to do with a future event.
Right. But see, people asking